Hello, everybody. My name is Joaquin Martinez Jr. Today is Wednesday, March 11th. It is 3:12 p.m. today here in Seattle. I'm doing this video as an update on my situation, I guess, my personal experience and story so far, with this coronavirus outbreak here in Seattle. So with that, I have some good news and I have some bad news. The good news is that I don't have the coronavirus, apparently. So I called about a couple hours ago, around 1 today, and yeah, they said, yeah, you came back negative for the coronavirus. Now, I don't have the coronavirus. I don't have the flu. I get head EKGs, X-rays, like blood work tests, the works, right? But I still don't know what I have. It's still uh, a viral URI with cough. The reason I went in Sunday for that was because I was coughing up blood, and I got scared. And I'm not really getting any. Well, I wasn't getting any better. Now I kind of am. I think that's the good news. I don't have the coronavirus. Bad news is that I don't know what I have, and I'm still, feeling some symptoms. Um, and with that, like, I asked the doctor, so does this mean like I'm immune to the coronavirus now? Does that mean I don't have it? He's like, well, no. What this means, I was like, okay, so does that mean I can still get it? He said, yes, you can still get it. Um, and because I've been sick for 2 weeks, I asked him, like, does this mean I can still get it? And would it be worse if I got it? Because now, I've been sick for 2 weeks, not been really getting any better, all that jazz, right? He said, yeah, potentially it could be hit you harder, hit you a lot worse because my immune system is compromised. I've been sick for 2 weeks, really bad. Barely now starting to get better. And yeah, that's the deal. The things that, have helped me, I guess, have been all like, everything that happened. What seemed to help, I guess, the most, but I'm kind of, worried about it is the codeine that they gave me on Sunday. The reason I don't like codeine is just it's an opiate. There's these opiates, and I had some really weird dreams on it. I also messaged some people. I didn't remember them or remember what I said or what we were talking about, so that was already like concerning, and pretty scary, right? I don't like that. I don't like being not of sound mind or in my right mind. It's just not. That's not how I operate. So how's that? Causing I'm still taking the Mucinex, the 600 milligram ibuprofen just in case. But like once if I need it, or if I'm feeling certain symptoms. I'm out of cough suppressant. I'm out of codeine. I'm out of well, I still have the inhaler, which I'm still doing, and the tube for it. And yeah, I'm gonna start getting back with my multivitamins and everything, trying to keep my immune system up because I have a compromised immune system now. I've been sick for 2 weeks, and if I get the coronavirus, it could potentially be worse for me. So I don't want that. Um, so that's an update on my situation, what's going on here with me. As far as so because I don't have a diagnosis, I can't really you know tell work or have a reason to be on FMLA or sick leave or have my union back me up because there's no diagnosis. They don't know what I have. My diagnosis is a viral URI with cough, so there's not much I can do there, which sucks. So I guess we'll see what happens with that. Once my vacation time runs out, we'll see. I'll play it by ear. Um, the other things I wanted to talk about were clearing some or clearing some things up and maybe like giving a little bit more insight on certain things. So I know that I'm a very passionate person. I'm Mexican, like we're known for being a little too passionate sometimes. And I'm a Martinez, I'm a Rodriguez, I'm a Villa Moreno. Like Martinez, Rodriguez, Villa Moreno. Those last names, like those in itself, like we're known for certain temperaments, or maybe being a little too eager to be angry or be a little too passionate, right? And with that being said, I understand like in my first video that I made, with the when I went to urgent care the third visit, and how that affected people's perceptions of me, um, which I don't really care, to be honest. I'm not really here to, like I said, I'm not here for publicity. I'm not here to gain followers or to have likes or whatever. Like, no, I'm here to just like inform people and help shed some light on my situation, what's going on, and helpfully help somebody, and also just to take this seriously because it's now a global pandemic. It's getting really bad. Italy, like in 3 days, the deaths rose from 366 to 800 and something, I believe, 837 or something like that, somewhere around there, and that's nuts. That's scary. Like the whole country's on lockdown, right? Which I guess brings me to that point of like being passionate. I'm not trying to cause a panic. I'm not trying to scare anybody. I'm not trying to, you know, yeah, I'm not trying to scare people. I'm not trying to, do these things or do this for any other reason than share information, share my story, share my experience, and have people, through that, through my story, through my experience, maybe give them some insight into their own situation, like relatability, and maybe some things that I've gone through apply to them and they're relatable to them, and it might help them, in the long run. As far as like maybe realizing, that if you go to urgent care, they might not help you. If you go to an ER, they might not help you. Like until you go like 3 or 4 times, and until you make a scene, and even then they might not help you, right? So some people don't know that, and maybe like it's just more insight into that, right? With that being said, I also believe it's not right to assume a lot of things, and also like we need to be more conscious and aware and responsible in what information we receive and what information we put out there. I've been seeing a lot of people, as far as like my videos that I've done, like really only like looking at the headlines, right? A lot of people have been hitting me up, and sending me messages, replying, things like that, with questions that, to be honest, could have been answered like if they just watch the videos, which I get. They're sometimes long videos, so I understand. And sometimes like, it's a more personal touch, sending a message out to me, especially if you know me personally. Like I get it and I understand. But also, we need to be conscious of that, that we shouldn't be caught up in the headlines and the panic, in the hysteria. But we also need to take this seriously, and we need to be aware and conscious and very responsible, with the information that's being put out there. We don't want to cause a panic. We don't want people to get scared. We don't want this to get worse, potentially. But we also need to face the reality of what's happening, like here in Seattle, Washington, all up and down the West Coast, and all over the world. It's a global pandemic now. The World Health Organization said so. If you don't believe me, look it up. Like, just do your own research, and that's what I'm trying to get at. I guess is do your own research. I'm not a doctor. I'm not an advocate of any sort. I'm advocating for myself here. I'm speaking about my experience, my story. My truth, right? My life. I can't speak on anybody else's. I can't speak on anybody else's experience, life, story. What have you, right? And the reason I say that is because, like I said, I'm not a doctor. I don't want to be, and I said this before in previous years, I don't want to be, a voice for anybody. That's too much responsibility for any one man to have, I believe. And, I'm doing this to share information, to spread the word, shed some light on certain things. And I feel like, people are maybe misconstruing certain things, and I'm not trying to make this about myself, not trying to get too personal, but like I said, I'm not a doctor. I'm not, voice for anybody. I'm not anybody's hero. I'm not anybody's hope. I'm not anybody's, salvation. I'm not trying to be that in any way, shape, or form. I don't want that responsibility. That's way too much. That's stressful. Like hell, just doing these videos is stressful enough for me. Believe me. Because when you put information out there and you make things public and you put yourself out there, right? Like you're not only responsible for yourself, but what you say, how you conduct yourself. And also, like how other people may or may not perceive that. And I know people say that's not your fault, how people, intake information, or how people, choose to do with that information. That's not your fault. It's not your responsibility. Like, but at the same time, I do feel like I need to make that clear that I'm not here for publicity, for notoriety, for any other reason besides just shedding light, spreading, the word, sharing my story, my experience, my, like what I've been going through here with my life currently at the moment. And yeah, that's basically that. And which leads me to my next point that, like I said, I know I can be a very passionate person. I know sometimes like I jump the gun on certain things. Sometimes my initial reactions and kind of get the best of me. Um, at first, I do believe that I try to hold myself to a standard that I don't make decisions or move forward or make choices without knowing all the facts, without properly researching and processing information and the facts of what's going on, circumstances, situations, lives, experiences, whatever, what have you, stories, right? Um, and I feel like we all need to do a little bit more of that, me myself included. I try to do that, but at the same time, like I know that my emotions get the best of me sometimes, and that can lead to problems. I can see and understand how in the video, when I go to the third urgent care visit, um, I really wasn't expecting or planning things to go to that extent to which they went. Me screaming, yelling, having a panic attack. Being scared and terrified. I was just scared. I was scared. I'm not excusing myself for my behavior, but at the same time, I'm not. I don't regret a thing. I'm not asking for forgiveness because if I hadn't done that, I feel like I would have been in worse shape or I would have been, you know, worse off than I am now. Um, that being said, I'm not sorry. I don't regret a thing. Like, because that's the worst thing you can do. I don't live my life with regrets. I don't like to have that, feeling of what was or what could have been. Like, what if? No. Like, and also, like, if I'm not sure about something, I try my best not to do. If I'm not 100% sure of what, is in front of me, of what I'm going to do, of my choices, my decisions, my life, I won't go through with something. Even if it's like 0.00001% chance of doubt, I don't know. That's not how I operate. Which also leads, to some troubling things about me, because because if I have even that slight little bit shred of doubt with anything, um, for me, like it just shakes my whole world in reality and my thoughts, feelings, and I just question. I start to question, my decisions, my choices, my life, and myself most importantly. And that's where those emotions and passion and things come from, where which leads to anger and sadness and defensiveness and lashing out, things like that. Which is why I feel like I needed to read. Um, I was this person that I talked to, or I've known for years, reached out and said, hey, just so you know, like for the most part, the gist of it was like, hey, the way you handled that situation of recording medical stuff without their consent was unethical and things like that. But she also said, I understand and I hope you're getting well and things like that. My initial reaction was like, what the hell, right? My initial reaction was to be defensive, to be angry, to be like, oh, she's doubting me, she doesn't believe me, all this. And I got angry and I got, very upset. And I said some things that I shouldn't have. Um, but at the same time, I said some things that I felt were, very valid points. But I shouldn't have done that in the way that I did. And I did apologize to her today. I did send her some messages that I hope she read. But if you didn't, I understand. And I'm going to read those out to y'all today and here and now because I feel like it's all encompassing and it's overall, like what everybody and what I think everybody needs to hear as far as this situation and myself. So here it goes. Um, hey, after thinking some things over, I realized I was wrong in saying some things I said to you and that I shouldn't have blown up on you the way that I did. There's no excuse for my behavior, my words, reaction, and the way I treated you. I still believe what I believe and stand firm in those beliefs and always will. However, just because you think and believe differently from me doesn't mean you're wrong or that you're personally attacking me, which I didn't understand at the time. You're right. I could have handled things better, I could have done things differently, etc. Do I believe that? Yes, of course. I wish it hadn't come to that or this, but alas, it's the way it happened, and I don't regret any part of me, my reaction, and my handling of everything going on right now. With that being said, it wasn't right of me to assume you were attacking me personally, and I should have heard your perspective at the very least. We can disagree, argue, still believe different things without needing to go to extremes and apart from each other for thinking differently. I would be very close minded and a fool for doing so, but more so, I would be a hypocrite. Looking back and thinking over our conversation, I was wrong for shutting you out, for simply giving you your perspective, and I'm sorry for that. However, I still believe what I believe, that what I did and am doing is the right thing to do, and that I need to believe that and question myself in order to keep my sanity and also keep being myself. I guess I meant like not questioning myself, right? If I didn't believe what I do so strongly, I wouldn't be me and I wouldn't be a decent person in my eyes. I know I'm a very passionate person. I know that passion gets to be too much sometimes and that it gets the better of me and overwhelms me and others at times. There are moments where I let my emotions get the best of me, my initial reactions, thoughts, and feelings. Sometimes they're overwhelming and they make me impulsive, defensive, and reactionary, especially when I've been caught off guard. That's what I believe happened yesterday when I received your messages, and I should have stepped back, analyzed the situation, and processed my emotions so as to not make a decision or move forward based on my emotions. Thoughts and feelings at that time. Ooh, right. That's not the way I normally conduct myself and not the way I want to be with you or anybody. So for that once again I apologize. I will hear you out. I will listen. I still try to understand your perspective regardless if you agree with me or not. I still believe all the things I told you to be true, but I should have handled it better and I shouldn't have behaved in that way because I was wrong for that. I truly, humbly, and respectfully ask you for forgiveness, and if you do forgive me, I will thank you immensely from the bottom of my heart. But on the other hand, if I hurt you and forgiving at this time is not possible, I will also understand. And yeah, that's basically that. What I wanted to say, more or less. Um, yeah, it's scary times. It's what's going on is frightening. It's scary. It's it's terrifying. And with my experience, what's going on with me, I have these also external factors, and I'm not trying to make excuses for myself or for anybody. Um, I just want to keep that in mind for everybody. Let's not jump to conclusions. Let's not just read the headlines without doing research. I see a lot of people putting out conspiracy theories like, oh, this and that. Without evidence, without proof, without the facts, without truth, without scientific information, without scientific data. That's just what they are. Theories, conspiracy theories. And they have no basis in fact and reality. And like, if all you have is a theory, you need to back that theory up with evidence, truth, facts, data, right? To make it more than a theory. What goes beyond that is a fact, right? Or a truth. And I want to go back to that. Like, regardless of what you believe, left, right leaning, Republican, Democrat, independent, whatever, this is affecting all of us, it's affecting the whole world. And I want to keep reiterating that because at this time we need to remember that we need to be more united than ever. Which leads me to my next point, that at this point we need to hold our leaders accountable. We need to call this out and what's happening. We need to let people know what's going on, and also just like spread the word, let people know what's going on, hold people accountable. If that means, like my friend, she reached out to her local city council men and women, right, local governments, and she called them and told them my story and what's going on with me, and I'm going to do the same. And I urge you all to do the same with your representatives, your councilmen and women, your governors, like your senators, representatives, house representatives, congressmen, your men and women, your presidents, your leaders, because this is what's going on is not right in my mind. I still believe that. People keep downplaying it, like only 24 people have died, right? Okay, it's only old people. Like, oh, it's just a boomer virus. Oh, this and that. Like, oh, now I can travel. Flights are cheap. Like, blah, blah, blah. I'm young. It's not going to affect me. Okay, that's fine. If it doesn't affect you, you can still have empathy for your fellow man, for your fellow woman, for your neighbor, for your fellow citizen, for your fellow, human, for your fellow person of the world. And I think that's what I'm trying to get at most, is that I get it. Like, there's been animosity between generations, the boomers, the millennials, Gen Z, Gen Y, Gen X, what have you, like whatever generation you belong from. At the end of the day, the labels don't matter. We're all human beings. We're all in this together. We're all in this world, and I get it. I understand. I really, really do. People are saying like, oh, like this is the thing that's gonna halt global warming, or this is gonna kill off a little bit of the population. I get it. I understand. I truly, truly do. But those people who lost loved ones, who lost their grandparents, their parents, their loved ones, their aunts, uncles, whatever, their family members, what have you, whatever they may be to them, like they still loved and cared about them. And like people, I feel like are not understanding that. Like until you go through it, until you go through that, it's yeah, like out of sight, out of mind, because it's not happening to you, right? But if it did happen to you, would you be saying the same thing? Would you be saying like, oh, it's just a boomer virus? Oh, it's just the old people. Oh, it's not affecting me. It's young. Whatever. I'm young. No, man. Like that's. I get it. I do. Trust me. I see the memes. I see the responses. I see what's going on. But it's in my mind. It's not right. Like I get it. Like I get the generational gaps. I understand that the young people, like the old people. But at the end of the day, man, like I like to put myself in people's shoes and in their situations. I like to do that to give me some insight, maybe. Be like, oh, well, what would I do if I was in their shoes? And I know I would be hurting. I would be devastated if I lost my grandmother, my grandfather. Both of my grandparents on my dad's side are already dead. But I would give anything to see them again. And if anybody, like whatever, man. It's only 24, but dude, this is just starting. Okay, the numbers keep growing. Seattle schools here just shut down for 2 weeks. No gatherings of over 200 people here. Right? Everything's like Italy is on lockdown, man. Like people are getting sick and dying. We need to take this seriously. We need to take this seriously. And we need to look out for each other despite our differences or gender, race, color, religion, creed, beliefs. Like we can believe different things, but we can still respect each other, honor each other, love each other, and treat each other with dignity. And that's what I'm trying to get at most. And that's what I want people to understand. Like let's be self-aware, let's be a little more conscious. Let's, do research. Let's just not look into the headlines and not buy into the panic and the scared. But let's also be aware. Let's, face the reality. Let's, move forward informed and amicably, and with hand in hand and with each other. Because we need each other. If we're going to get through this, we need to help each other out despite our differences. So with that being said, I guess that's the end of my video. I've said all I wanted to say. I hope y'all see and hear this video. And if y'all share it, cool. But yeah, man. That's all I got to say about that.